All right. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode where I'm going to talk about how to begin to break out of OCD and anxiety spirals. So, when I'm talking about an OCD and anxiety spiral, what I'm really talking about is when you're getting lost in the mind about the content of the fear and feeding the emotion through doing safety behaviors or compulsions. And as that grows and grows, your mind goes faster and faster, and emotions get heavier and heavier, and eventually you're just spending every waking minute consumed by this fear. That's really what I'm talking about when I'm referring to a spiral. Okay, so it's completely in the context of the OCD and anxiety loop. So before we dive in, if you don't know me, my name is Matt Codde, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and the founder of Restored Minds. And today, I want to invite you, if you're not already a member of the Feel Better Letter or the FBL, it's a free newsletter that I send out every Friday where I give exclusive content to all my members. And so I send out an audio message, and I will usually talk about things that oftentimes I either can't or don't talk about on public forums like the podcast and YouTube and whatnot. So more nuanced, more specific, and yeah, a little bit different than some of the stuff that I present here, or a little more in depth. So if you aren't a member of that and you aren't subscribed, you can do so totally free. There's over 10,000 subscribers at this point, so please check that out in the links below. You can also head over to restoredminds.com and sign up, and then check out some of our various resources as well. Also, if you're benefiting from the show, please help us out by liking, subscribing, and leaving a nice review. So, how do you stop spiraling? And I'm going to give really three important points here today. So the first is to identify and become aware of the fact that you're spiraling. So most people, when they are spiraling, they are completely convinced that they're not spiraling because they're convinced that whatever it is that they're spiraling about is the problem. And in order to stop spiraling, you have to first shift your awareness from I'm spiraling about a problem to the problem is that I'm spiraling, right? And that jump can be very difficult to do without practice and a deep level of awareness and insight. So, understanding that spiraling is never going to help anything. And if you are spiraling, the fact that you're spiraling is the problem, not what you're spiraling about. And you may need to take a second and re-listen to that, because a lot of times we're so convinced that what we're spiraling about is the issue, so that we keep focusing, keep feeding, keep festering on, which perpetuates the spiral itself, and then we eat the ramifications of spiraling. Spiraling generally takes us down into lower energy states, depression, hopelessness, right? So the act and the practice, I'm going to use the word practice of spiraling because it's something you're actively engaging in. It's not happening in and of itself, right? You're choosing to spiral because you're failing to see the problem for what it is, or you're not able to see the problem for what it is. So the way out of spiraling, the first thing we need to do is become aware of the fact we are spiraling and identify that that is the actual problem. Okay, so step one. Step two is we have to start putting the brakes on the spiral, right? Slowing down the spiral, if you will. When you're spiraling really intense, it's pretty hard just to go to a full stop. It's kind of like if you're driving a car 100 miles an hour, very dangerous just to slam on the brakes and the emergency brake at the same time, right? It's like there's too much pressure and momentum going. So what we have to do is we have to take a more, like long-term view and go, okay, I need to slow down here, right? I need to pump the brakes and slow the car down, right? And give yourself more of a runway to do so. Because trying an instantaneous like abort or abandon or stop, generally speaking, there's so much momentum and pressure and tension at that point that that can really create a lot of uneasiness. So we have to first acknowledge that we're spiraling, and then we have to start slowing down the spiral. Next, how do we do that? Well, we first start working on the fact that we're spiraling is the problem, and then second, we need to eliminate all the things that we're doing to feed that. So then this includes all the mental behaviors, right? The rumination, the analyzing, the thought blocking, thought suppression, right? All the mental compulsions, but then all the physical compulsions. Am I getting reassurance, right? Am I avoiding? Am I controlling? Am I checking? Am I trying to change? Am I trying to alter, right? Like all these things I'm doing to try to change and control everything. Finally, we need to be able to shift, right, our awareness to what we want, right? So once we've slowed down the spiral enough, we have to kind of redirect our attention in a positive upward trend. So this may mean, in some cases, once you've really eliminated the compulsions, sitting and doing, a body somatic exercise where you actually start to feel the emotions you're experiencing. Could be going and doing a meditation. It could be going and working out, going for a walk. It could be, again, going and jumping in the pool, right? It's like something that's going to kind of bring your awareness and attention to something other than the content that you were spiraling about. This isn't about like refocusing as a distraction, right? So we're confronting the actual problem. Like we're shifting from, okay, this is not what I'm spiraling about. It's that I'm spiraling. That's a problem. I need to slow down this spiral. How do I do that? By removing the compulsions. I need to eliminate the compulsions, the mental and the physical, right? So for that, like I teach the AAA response. If you're not familiar with the AAA response, you can check out my book, From Stuck to Unstuck. You can get the book and the audio book for like the price of a cup of coffee on my website. And then so as you start to remove the compulsions, then it's confronting what you're actually feeling, right? Being able to identify like where you're actually feeling these emotions. And then it's really about refocusing your attention on things that are aligned with your long-term values and, the life you want to live. So that, again, that may be going for a quick walk. It may just be going out, sitting in nature, doing a grounding exercise. There's various ways to do this, but the main thing to stop a spiral is to help yourself or the individual, if you're working with someone else, actually become aware that the spiraling itself is the problem, not what they're spiraling about. Because as long as you're focused on what you're spiraling about is the problem, that's going to paradoxically really intensify and keep the spiral going. So that's a very, again, a specific thing for when you're spiraling. But, for those of you that have been in spirals, this is an important thing to anchor into, and maybe important to kind of write those steps down just to review them from time to time if you are spiraling or if you find yourself spiraling. So with that said, I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Hey there, thanks so much for watching that episode. If you found it helpful, we have some links to some other episodes that we think you might like as well. And if you're looking for help on your journey to recovery from fear, stress, and anxiety, either check out the links in the notes or head over to restoredminds.com. Thank you, and talk to you soon.